What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So on Friday, out of nowhere, Nintendo decided to reveal the pricing for their Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack service, that being the add-on that includes Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games. We're going to go over what they did talk about during that live stream, as well as the Backlash online that happened pretty much immediately after the announcement. Also, we're going to be talking about DBrand and PlayStation. DBrand introduced their dark plates, which are replacement side panels for the PlayStation 5, and then told Sony, hey, if you don't like it, you can sue us. Turns out Sony decided to take them up on that challenge, and we're also going to be talking about Elden Ring, as some new gameplay footage appears to have leaked out online and pretty much took over the internet. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with Microsoft, the Xbox Series X, and a fridge. Well, actually a mini fridge to be exact. We can see this over on The Verge, where they say Xbox Series X mini fridge pre-orders began on October 19th for $99.99. Now, we had heard they were going to be doing this, just saying, hey, later on this year, we will have these out. And even on store shelves, as apparently Target is going to be stocking these, but you can see it is indeed an Xbox Series X themed mini fridge. The description says it holds 12 cans and even has a USB port on the front that functions. So I guess you can charge like your phone or even your Xbox controller if you have like the little play and charge kit there. Either way though, this is one of the biggest reverse cards I've ever seen played by a company when it comes to their product being memed on as heavily as the Series X was when it was revealed. People were photoshopping in the kitchens, and Microsoft leaned into it so much that they're now selling a product based around that meme. I mean, the only way it's getting better is if Sony decided to start selling wireless routers based around the PS5. Also, we did have DC fandom over the weekend where we saw several trailers around DC properties like the new Batman movie that's coming up, but we did also see a new trailer for Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and the more I see about this game, the more interested I am in it. And we can see this trailer they put up. Now, I do have one issue with what they showed here, which I'll talk about in a second, but we also have the description here that we can kind of go on along with this trailer. Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark begrudgingly embark on their mission to take down the world's greatest DC superheroes, the Justice League, featuring an original narrative set within an expansive open world metropolis. And the idea here is, yes, the Suicide Squad is going around and attempting to take down different members of the Justice League. It doesn't look as straightforward though as that, as there were scenes where it appeared like Wonder Woman maybe was fighting on their side. Again, I don't think it's as straightforward and cut and dry as we were expecting, that we're just going to go around and fight these different superheroes as bosses, which it'd be kind of difficult to figure out how they would take down Superman anyway, but I'm excited for this one. It's coming out next year, 2022. It is from Rocksteady. The one problem I have though, we still haven't seen any gameplay. We've had descriptions around it being open world and I guess having multiplayer elements to it, but we don't really know much else with it. So I do believe we're going to have like I assume a full sit down. They'll play through parts of the game as we get closer to release day, because as we know now, it's just coming out next year. Could be next holiday. Like, we could be a full year out from this game still coming, since we have Gotham Knights still coming up next year as well. That should be early in the year. But either way, I'm looking forward to this one. I just think it's such an interesting take on like the DC universe, where we're playing as the Suicide Squad going around attempting to take out the entire Justice League. Oh, and we did get more information around the Grand Theft Auto trilogy that's being fully remastered. There was a part of a support page over on Rockstar's website that was active, and it had an entire description around some of the enhancements. We can see that here, posted up on the GTA forums, where they say across the board enhancements including brilliant new lighting and environmental upgrades, high resolution textures, increased draw distances, Grand Theft Auto 5 style controls and targeting, and much more. The part of this that I like the most is probably the updated control styles being more similar to Grand Theft Auto 5. I mean, they're gonna make the games look better on like 4K displays and all of this, but it's still gonna, I feel like, look like a PS2 game. I don't know how far they're gonna push it with the visual style. I hope I'm surprised there, but the idea that the control scheme for Grand Theft Auto 3 would be like GTA 5, that's exciting, and I would really enjoy playing back through Vice City with that control scheme. So here's hoping they're just about ready to show this off, because we just keep getting more and more information kind of put out there through drip feeding almost, just through these leaks on their website. So why don't we just see the game now, and I guess roll into November when we can pick it up. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. Now, this was revealed during an Animal Crossing Direct. In fact, most people who went into that live stream probably weren't expecting to come out the other side talking about pricing around Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games. So let's start with Animal Crossing, actually. We can see some of the live stream they put up because there will be 2 different updates, both of which coming out November 5th. The first update will be free, and it will include characters from the Animal Crossing series, such as the composed Brewster, who will open a cafe on the 2nd floor of the museum, and the sea shanty singing Captain, who will take you to different islands with his boat, newly opened shops in the plaza on Harv's Island, including Katrina's fortune-telling shop, the introduction of cooking and growing vegetables, and a host of other customizations and features. Now, the other update will be paid DLC. It'll cost $25. It's called Happy Home Paradise. And the idea here is you will be traveling and joining Lottie and the Paradise planning team. In your new role, you'll travel to a chain of charming islands where you can design vacation homes, decorate island facilities like a school and a restaurant, and discover new ways to create and personalize as you gain experience designing dream vacation homes for your clients. And I was watching a live stream and I was like, wow, there's a lot of content here, because for a while, I noticed people who are really in like the Animal Crossing community were saying, we don't really get a lot of updates. There's not a lot of content being pushed into Animal Crossing, despite it being a massive success for Nintendo. And now we got this full big content blowout here. Yes, it is a $25 paid DLC, but it looks substantial. And a lot of the people who are in Animal Crossing seemed very excited about this. And then we go into the pricing for the expansion pack add-on for the Nintendo Switch Online, and everything kind of shifted. See, because Nintendo decided to work in there that Animal Crossing DLC would be part of this expansion pack add-on for Nintendo Switch Online, and the entire service would cost $49.99 per year, or $79.99 if you want to do a family plan, or just you take that and split it up with a bunch of friends and dramatically cut down on the cost. But the issue here, that means that we're going from $20 up to $50, or more than double what we were paying for the basic online service. The newer service, that add-on, the expansion pack, will give you Nintendo 64, Sega Genesis games, as well as this new downloadable content for Animal Crossing. So I guess if you're someone who's not in Animal Crossing, then you're just getting the 64 and the Genesis games. If you are in Animal Crossing, this might look like a pretty good deal for now. However, there was certainly sticker shock, and I'll admit, I had that same feeling. I was like, whoa, they're going $50 on this? I was thinking the roof would have been $15 more, or $35 total. I figured Nintendo wouldn't just go with 10. They want to do some weird thing like Nintendo and go up an extra 5. Okay, $15. But $50, $30 more. And it wasn't just me who was surprised, because if you go over to Nintendo's overview video for the new add-on, currently has 51,000 dislikes. And it's been racking them up as we've gone through the weekend, and I'm sure it will continue to tack on more and more dislikes as we go through the week. Like I said, the reaction was not at all positive for this expansion pack, and I feel like the biggest thing here is Nintendo seems less interested in updating that basic online service that everyone's paying for currently if you want to play online with the Switch at $20 per year, and they're more interested in just upping the price by simply adding on content, which currently are, older ROMs. I don't even think that many people are interested in Sega Genesis. It mostly comes down to those Nintendo 64 games, probably because there's already an entire Genesis collection, minus, I think, like Musha. Otherwise, though, a lot of those games are already available on the Switch as a cartridge even that you can own. And I did an entire video going over this on Saturday because I had so many thoughts on it, so make sure you check that out. But at this point, the way I look at it is Nintendo not that interested in doing anything with the online service other than collecting $20 and really providing an ability to back up your saves through the cloud and just kind of gating you a bit when it comes to things like Mario Kart or Splatoon. But what they've kind of turned this entire thing into is really a Game Pass setup. So they have a selection of games with an online service tacked on, where originally we thought it was going to be an online service with games tacked on while they built up that online service. They've gone the complete opposite direction. They've built up the game selection while doing pretty much nothing to that online service that we thought we were initially paying to improve. But even so, people will find value in this. There are some good Nintendo 64 games there. It's just, Yeah, I know people can emulate them. There are all kinds of other ways people can get a hold of these games if they would like to play them, but some people don't want to deal with that. They'll split up the family plan of $80 between like 7 or 8 people and just kind of go about their business there. I'm curious though, because this is optional, if Nintendo maybe won't see the signups they were expecting. It's one thing if they have to introduce a $20 paywall to play online, like it's required, and it's required to back up your saves, by the way. There's no other way to back them up. You have to use the cloud. No local backup option. Now that it's optional, I wonder if some people will just kind of pass on this, because if you don't need to sign up now, you can wait a year and see if the selection of games becomes worth it, much like it did with Nintendo and Super Nintendo games, where they piled up over 100 of those games. I mean, at that point, $20 for 100 Nintendo and Super Nintendo games? Yeah, a lot of people are going to say, well, yeah, that might be worth it there. If we get to a point where there's 40 or 50 Nintendo 64 games, some people might say, yeah, okay, that with all the Super Nintendo games, yeah, it's probably worth $50 a year. But let me know your thoughts around the pricing, because it certainly caught me off guard when they revealed it. Next up, let's talk about DBrand and Sony. DBrand created dark plates. I did an entire video here on those replacement shells for the outside of the PS5. It was cool because I wanted a matte black PS5, and that was an easy way to get there. I still had like the glossy plastic in the middle, but you can put like a DBrand skin over it, or really anything over it, and it should at least hide the glossy plastic and work to protect it. But the idea that we can change those plates out with third-party ones is a really exciting and fun idea to consider, until you realize that Sony doesn't seem that excited themselves about that. It looks like they really are going around and issuing cease and desist and even threatening legal action, which we had heard of before with a website that was working to sell these plates, and now it looks like even DBrand is facing Sony's wrath. They posted this up over on Reddit, simply going over the entirety of what they received from Sony, saying dark plates are dead, thanks Sony. They even went in depth, kind of detailing the trademark details around the different symbols, obviously Sony has, with triangle, circle, square, and yes, cross. And DBrand played into this kind of jokingly at times, showing Squid Game having a circle, a triangle, and a square. And the reason they pointed out those symbols is because if you look like really, really close, like you have to zoom in pretty far, on the inside of those dark plates, they did like a bit of a play on the triangle, the square, and the circle, where they used their own symbols and sort of decorations and designs. And if you look at that, I don't think anyone is going around saying, oh, well, that's certainly PlayStation. Not really. Those just look like kind of designs that were come up with for the inside of the shell. Now, I'll leave a link down below in the sources for this Reddit post, as, like I said, they went very in-depth with everything that Sony sent them, breaking it all down section by section. But it does appear that Sony wasn't even that happy about how much the marketing itself exploded online, and people were really excited and buying into dark plates. Remember, they were selling out every time they'd go up for sale, and yeah, there is an obvious market for replaceable shells on the PS5. I think we all realize that, and my concern is the reason that Sony does not want this out there is because they want to create their own special edition PS5s and not sell the shells. It's an easy way for them to do it, because they just need to create different plastic shells, slap them on the side, and boom, there's the new God of War Ragnarok PS5. I mean, they even mentioned patents that they couldn't actually name and point to. I assume just the shape of the plastics on those shells is enough for Sony to say, yeah, we own that. You're not allowed to do anything with that type of shell. So I don't know if DBrand can like play around with like the shaping of it on the outside and just in some way kind of skate through the legal mazes that are set up here by Sony. It's a shame, because it was pretty cool to have different options around the shells on your PS5. Some really cool designs came up from that, where people putting decals on the side and even painting different stenciled like outlines on it. So we'll see if DBrand has any response beyond this after these dark plates, which are pulled down now, are basically gone. So again, strange situation. Sony, I don't think is going to capitalize on this, selling these themselves. I think they just want people to not sell them so they can easily create their own special editions. Next up, let's talk about Elden Ring. It's out at the end of January, and it's been one of the most hyped up games that I've ever seen without actually ever seeing it. Well, at least until we did get the full blowout with gameplay and that release date, but up until then, it was like this big fabled legend of a game that every time it was brought up, people got hyped to the moon over it. Well, at least in January, we'll finally have it in our hands. However, it appears some gameplay footage of it got out there online. Jeff Grubb shared it up on Twitter and then had a bit of a follow-up here. I don't know if the companies are going around pulling down some of this footage, so I'll just link to his Twitter. That tweet, you can go check it out for yourself. It's about 30 seconds, but you can see this from Jeff Grubb saying, the leaker is saying that this is Xbox One. I'm betting it's Xbox One X based on frame rate. It is a few weeks old. The capture hardware is low quality apparently, and yeah, it's like 360p on YouTube. It's 30 seconds. And it mostly shows your character jumping around on top of like a mountain or a large rock or something. That's kind of it. They do rotate the camera around and show a pretty large area. Like it's supposed to be open world and that's what they're showing there. And this got people really excited online. Elden Ring started to trend. Jeff's tweet was getting passed out everywhere. It was like 13,000 likes on this thing. And again, the hype factor around Elden Ring is that high to where it is a very basic video of someone jumping around a bit, moving the camera, and that was enough to go viral for Elden Ring. A lot of excitement. Look, I'm excited for Elden Ring too. I just thought it was funny to see this because when people were talking about leaked footage, gameplay footage, I was like, whoa, it's got to be pretty substantial. Not really, it's about 30 seconds, like I said. Go check it out and see what you think. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Kingdom Hearts on the Switch. Specifically though, Kingdom Hearts Cloud Edition on the Switch. A lot of people were excited when they saw it get announced during that Smash Brothers Direct, and then they're like, oh, it's through the cloud, it's gonna be streamed to the Switch. Great. Well, interestingly enough, Nintendo Life decided to talk with the series producer for Kingdom Hearts, Mr. Hazama, around this entire situation of the Kingdom Hearts Cloud Editions and why they weren't just native ports. We can see this again over on Nintendo Life. Mr. Hazama responded saying, for some time, our director Tetsuya Nomura had expressed his desire to deliver the Kingdom Hearts series to Nintendo Switch players, him having seen and heard the demand, and so a great deal of consideration went into this internally. Bringing these titles to Nintendo Switch proved to be quite difficult for various reasons, including the storage capacity of the hardware, but we're excited that we were able to make it happen for the first time ever by utilizing the cloud service. Now, Nintendo Life decided they wanted to push a little further, specifically asking about Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 Remix. 3, to be honest, wasn't the smoothest running game on Xbox One or PlayStation 4, so you could kind of be like, all right, how low do you have to move the settings? How bad could the frame rate be on the Switch? But like 1.5 and 2.5, I mean, we've seen those on the PS3. Surely you could move those to the Switch natively, right? Well, this is what Hazama had to say at this moment in time. The production of a native version is undecided. We believe that the cloud version is currently the best way to deliver the Kingdom Hearts series to Nintendo Switch players, but we are always excited to hear the feedback from our fans and want to thank them for all their support. Yeah, I would do 1.5 and 2.5 natively. There you go. It's odd that they even bring that up, that it's undecided. It seems like they decided it's coming to the cloud for the Switch. I don't really know how they'd all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, there's a native version now. Thanks for buying the cloud version. That'd be weird. But like 1.5 and 2.5, there was a lot of work that went into getting that on the PS3 and then the PS4. They had to rebuild a good chunk of that game. It wasn't just like a straight port up to those platforms, but still, it's pretty clear they're unsure if they would get a return on their investment if they decided to put up the budget to make that port happen to the Switch. For those two in particular, I think it'd be a really cool bundle to have both of these on a cartridge, or even if they were just digital only. They mentioned storage space. Sure, I mean, I get it. You go up to 64 gigabyte cartridges, that's a whole thing there. But even if they just offered it digitally, I think that's fine. Like, it'd be great to have that physical copy, but if it's digital or nothing, go ahead and drop them on the eShop digitally and we'll have micro SD cards ready to go. I don't think it's going to happen though. I think they've decided, and we're probably looking at, mostly anyway, I'll say, a streamed version of Kingdom Hearts on the Switch, at least for those three. We'll see what the future holds, maybe with a next-gen Switch in a couple of years. And before we go to the comment of the day or table of the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, are you signing up for Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack when it releases? 82% said, no, I'm not interested with what's currently offered, and then 18% said, yes, the current content looks worth it to me. That's the biggest thing. Some people are gonna look at those 64 games and say, well, it's like Ocarina of Time. That's a good one. I would like to play Mario Kart 64 online with my friends. So there is value there for people who look at the 64 lineup and then the games that are coming and they're like, yeah, that's worth the extra 30. But the good news here is it's optional. So for a lot of people, apparently 82%, you can just kind of walk by it for now and then check in a year later and see if there's something that you want to subscribe for. But there are some things Nintendo could do. For example, they could drop Game Boy Advance in there as part of the expansion pack. With Mother 3 being finally localized, you'd get a bunch of people, I'm sure, there. You could move GoldenEye over for the 64 with online play. That might work. So there are possibilities as to what they could do in the future, but we then be relying on Nintendo to actually do that, and based on what they've done with the online service or not done, doesn't always work out that way. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Amp saying, I wonder if a Mega Man Legends sequel will ever happen. They could even make it a procedurally generated dungeon crawler. At this point, I just want Capcom to remember that Mega Man still exists. Mega Man Legends would be cool though. They had canceled, Mega Man Legends 3 a while ago. I would like to see them explore that again. I know the whole 2D, 3D argument goes back and forth around value and if a game is worth full price if it's 2D. Mega Man Legends at least is 3D. Capcom could maybe work their RE engine in, could do some pretty cool stuff with it, but the problem is Mega Man Legends is kind of a niche series and it doesn't sell what like a Monster Hunter or Resident Evil or basically any of other Capcom's properties do. So would Capcom be willing to take a risk on that? It's hard to say. I can hardly get them to make a 2D Mega Man game at this point. So what hope does a Mega Man Legends sequel have? And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be here for Newswave. If you enjoyed these videos, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Whereas Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, the pricing, the content that's being offered, or even the Animal Crossing DLC. Also, what about Sony threatening to sue DBrand over those dark plates that are now discontinued? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.